second. India have won the Test match. India have won the series. They're going to get back for two. India at home. Lords goes wild.
Hello and welcome to a new episode of the 81 All Out podcast. This is your host, Siddhartha Vaidyanathan, and I'm joined today by two regulars and a guest who has appeared on the pod before and is very much part of the 81 All Out crew, but has made only sporadic appearances on the podcast. So first, let me welcome Deepak at Complicator on X. Hey, Deepak, good to have you back.
Thanks, Sidvi. My 8-year-old or almost 8-year-old keeps asking me why I am supposedly friends with all of the people on 81 All Out, but I never appear on the podcast. So this hopefully will help me build some street cred with him. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, so you're under a lot of stress, I think, now, too, because your son will be listening to this podcast and you have to make a good impression. So all the best.
I think I will be reviewed like KD reviewed England if I don't put in a good performance here. So he's very caustic.
Okay. Luckily, I don't have such pressure. From my kids are far away from listening to this podcast, and also welcoming Mahesh and Ashoka. Hello, good to have you guys back. Today we're taking a little bit of a different track, not doing any usual review or not doing like a typical 81 All Out pod, but something that's a little different. We thought since all of us are from an era when we grew up around in the 90s, and me being among the slightly older ones who started watching cricket in the late 80s, we thought we should sort of do a bit of a supposition podcast and look at players from that era who we think would have been fantastic in the T20 format. We, of course, have the IPL now, and we're living in the T20 era. There's hardly a day that goes by without a franchise tournament happening somewhere or a league happening somewhere. There's also the year of the T20 World Cup, yet another T20 World Cup. There seem to be so many that happen these days. So we thought we'll do a bit of a revisit back into the time before T20. I mean, this is the era when ODIs were the big game in town. I mean, that was the era when ODIs were being revolutionized in the mid-90s, early to mid-90s. And when the game was slowly starting to move much quicker, I mean, of course, now we talk about, test teams batting at 5 and over, and we talk about T20 teams batting at 12 and over or more, and teams chasing 200 plus targets in a T20 game and so on. But yeah, it's been like a while before that whole evolution took place. I mean, it started around the early 90s, when things became quicker. And now, of course, we live in an era where, teams are just trying to get that much faster and faster each time. I mean, trying to get off every efficiency you can in a T20 game, obviously, to score as much as you can. So, so we can begin with general thoughts about watching cricket at that time and specifically watching, ODI cricket and cricket where things were getting quicker, scoring patterns were getting, little faster by the day. And when players who came through at that time, who were trying to constantly push the boundaries. I mean, of course, the famous ones being Jayasuriya and Afridi and Tendulkar when he opened the batting and things. But there were also other players who, well before fast scoring was a thing, were pretty much playing in the T20 mold and trying to hit every ball and trying to make the most of every ball, even though 50 overs is a really long time. And sometimes even in Test cricket, when they were trying to maximize the runs of every ball, they were doing it simply because that was their style and they stuck to it. So, can start off with some general thoughts and then move on into maybe picking a team that we think would have been great for the format back then.
Yeah, so when I think about ODI cricket, especially the era that we started watching was also kind of the best of the ODI cricket era, right? It was just so popular, and the game was getting more efficient, and the bat ball contest was still quite entertaining. And because we didn't have T20, it just sounded so exciting, and it became mainstream. Right? There was a time when India did not play too many test matches. Right, during Sachin's peak, if you look at the 90s, we played a lot of ODIs because it was. I mean, some people might not believe it. It is as popular as IPL today, right? And it is not even like World Cup, even random ODI matches, right? So you talk to specific, like people of a particular, not even generation. Actually, you can talk to my dad and me about Rishikesh Kanatkar hitting Saklan Mushtaq for four, and it's an image nobody will forget. It's not like it was a World Cup final or something, right? It was just a random tournament in Dhaka, and you still remember it, or even Coca-Cola Cup and all that, right? So, and also like some of them were trailblazers. I mean, you mentioned Jayasuriya and Afridi, but someone like Dean Jones, for instance, was so far ahead of his time. Javed Miandad played ODI cricket in such an efficient way. Lance Klosner was an OG of this sort of ultra aggressive hitting, right? Even someone like Justin Kemp, who played for South Africa later, who had the T20 instincts. If he could rain sixes if he wants. And going back to Chris Keynes and his father, there are these iconic personalities who could have actually been superstars, right? Like if Sunil Narine played in the ODI era, he would have been just another cricketer. He wouldn't have been a T20 superstar, right? Hitmeyer would have been just another cricketer. I'm saying T20 has introduced us to this new world of superstars who would not fit into the mold of superstars in the earlier era. So if we were to kind of use this prism to go back and see how many of them, one, the superstars of that era would have remained superstars, and how many of the otherwise forgotten people who could have perhaps had a great time in the limelight if they were to play today.
Yeah, I mean, talking about ODIs being as popular as IPL, I mean, this Lalit Modi's original idea for the IPL began in 1996, right? I mean, he has mentioned how after the 1996 World Cup, he actually, drew up a sort of a plan for having this kind of franchise cricket, and even presented it to a few people, but it never worked out. But if it had, had there been a franchise sort of tournament after 1996, it would have obviously been in the one-day format, but it could have been like hugely popular that people may not have T20 may not have been come through at the time it did. I mean, eventually it might have come through at some point of time. Somebody might have said, okay, we need a shorter version, but may not be in the early 2000s. Maybe that whole franchise tournament could have gone on for another 15 years. Who knows? And maybe T20 would have come in only in like the 2015 or 2016 or something. Who knows when BCCI?
No, and if you had an IPL version of ODI, like IPL in the one-day format, that would have been a commercial bonanza. I don't think T20 would have had to make 5x the money to be able to sort of oust one-day format from its existence. See, the reason why T20 made more money in IPL is because it was replacing a very inefficiently organized one-day format, right? If let's say they played one-day cricket like the way they do with IPL now, right? 2 months calendar set aside with most of the Indian players available, the global superstars coming to India and so on, and then Indian economy was growing immensely at that time, right? It would have been something. The commercial potential of 100 over IPL match every night, every day would have been crazy.
I think the big thing for me is I grew up at the same time as all of you guys. So obviously one-day cricket was being revolutionized. But one of the things that benefits that we had was also this sort of like advent of television, right? And you were able to see not just the live matches, but they would on occasion create packages of matches that were just before our sort of prime match watching years. So you get to watch like some of the late 70s, early 80s matches, right? You'd get snippets of that. You get to see snippets of people who retired just before your peak of watching the game. And I think like the thing that I find most interesting is how quickly a format was figured out, right? So if you think about the ODI cricket, roughly from like the mid 1970s through to the 2000s, there was a phase where they were like, okay, we originally thought for 60 overs was good, but then they shifted from 60 overs to 50 overs. Then they changed fielding restrictions. So there's this slow sort of external rule change thing that happened. And then there is the internal teams figuring out how to capitalize on those rule changes that are happening in parallel, right? So that happened over a span of like 20, 25 years, right? Where then like by 2000, everything was like completely optimized for the 50 over format with the fielding restrictions and all that stuff. Like if you think about like the IPL, like roughly it started in 2005. Within 6 years, everything was figured out. The format was figured out, the rules were figured
2008.
out. 2008. It started 2008. Okay, so then like within like 7-8 years, by 2015, everybody had like a common conception of, okay, this is how you play an IPL match. This is what your batting composition needs to be. This is what your bowling composition needs to be. This is how you optimize to win, right? Like I keep thinking about this. Like if there's every tech company puts out this like time to million users graphic, right? If you have like a similar time to format stability for the T20 versus the one day game, right? Like it is so quick. And the thing that I like, the people that I think about most in this sort of situation is the players, right? Like how quickly, like I'm thinking about a 15-year-old who had spent all of their life training to play one day cricket around 2008 or 2009, and how quickly they probably had to shift all of their training to be successful and to have like a lucrative career as a professional, right? And like it's very interesting for me to think like this hypothetical is sort of that we're going to talk about is very interesting because we are talking about like fully formed players and whether they would have been successful in a different format. That's kind of like the thing that I've been thinking about, as we think about how like taking people from one format and putting into another. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think in terms of the evolution, I mean, I feel like it's actually been pretty similar. See, because T20 started in like the early 2000s, the IPL came in 2008. But I think it's only like now that teams are actually like getting to understand the format like fully. I mean, there was a period, of course, early in the IPL, there was a period we know about the RCB team and how, Rahul Dravid was captaining that team, actually made a genuine sort of case saying that, it's important to have a very strong bowling attack in a T20 game and all. And who can blame him? I mean, because back then everyone was trying to figure out the format and he sort of felt that that was the way to go. But it was gradually shown that that is perhaps, one has to go only the opposite way. So it's only like, I feel like West Indies, of course, like in one day cricket, I think West Indies deserve a huge credit in T20 cricket as well. I mean, it was West Indies who basically, both by a combination of, I think, their smarts as well as the fact that they had such great T20 talents available to them, is that they put the two together and they're like, okay, I mean, there is even this sort of quote I have. I was speaking to, I did an interview with Samuel Badri, the leg spinner who played for West Indies in their T20 World Cup winning teams. And I was talking to him about that famous game in Calcutta where Carlos Brathwaite hits Ben Stokes for 4 sixes and they win the game, right? And Badri was like, in the last over, so we're like, we need 24, right? So basically, it's like, okay, he hits 2 sixes. And then the equation was such that he could have actually tried to hit a 4. But he's like, absolutely no one in the dugout thought that he's going to hit anything but a 6. It's like that the 6 was the only thought on everyone's head. Like even the last ball, when he could have probably even like not gone for the 6, then Badri is like, he knew that the only shot he's going to go for is a 6. So, and that's how, I mean, that was in 2016. And, it sort of showed you that how they were far ahead of the thinking in terms of hitting and in terms of what you get in terms of singles, like Chris Gale's approach to singles versus Chris Gale's approach to dots. Chris Gale's approach to, he used to like comfortably play 2 dots without any hassle, and then he would hit the next 3 balls for a boundary. So, all that and sort of their approach to anchors and everything. I mean, now teams are realizing the value of all that. So I think the evolution has happened gradually too. I don't think it's been as rapid as we think it is. It's probably been 20 years in the making in itself. And it'll probably be another few years before all teams sort of get into this and realize that, let's forget about anchors for now.
Yeah.
I think even before, during the inaugural IPL, I think these Deccan Charger team had the right idea. They were picking Shahid Afridi, Herschel Gibbs, Andrew Simon, Scott Styris, Gilchrist.
They were also
Yep.
picking Rohit Sharma, by the way.
Yes, that's what I was about to say. They also picked T. Suman and Venugopal Rao.
Tirumal
VVS.
Setti Suman. Oh man, that's a blast from the past.
Yes, Tirumal Setti Suman, Venugopal Rao, Rohit Sharma, VVS Lakshman. So yeah, I think they got hampered by the format, which only allowed you like 4 foreigners. But if they were allowed to, play the best 11, they would have actually had a killer team. Is what I was thinking, because they had the right idea. And also
What with VVS Lakshman and all? Come on, man.
VVS Lakshman was that icon player.
Oh, icon. Okay,
It's a core topic, no?
Okay.
So anyway, so even the T20 when they started, this is a slightly funny bit that they had the right idea, which is bash everything, and like 20 years down the line, we see that the idea is still the same. The idea went from bash everything to no, don't bash everything. There is a period of consolidation. Then it went to specialist batsmen and specialist bowlers. Then it has now come back to how can we add as many bashers in the 11 as possible, while not compromising on the bowling too much. So it has come a full circle from the initial idea of bash everything. It's just that they have taken 20 years to figure out how to keep bashing, because the skills are also, as Park was saying, T20 requires some specialized skills of hitting, range hitting and all that, which takes a little bit of time to mature, because the generations of batsmen that have come before this are not thinking about that when they were coming up the ranks. So yeah, I mean, it's a fun exercise that we're going to do. What if we prepone the IPL by like 15-20 years? What would have happened? Maybe Chika would not have started a YouTube channel. Maybe he would have been the 12 crore player that would have disappointed everybody.
Maybe you would have been both. You would have done both.
Yeah, you would have done both. Anyways, that's I mean, that is kind of the point of this exercise, I think.
Ika would have been the CSK icon, and maybe he would have been known as Thala instead of Chiki Chika. Yeah. Okay. So there's also the fact that we also, like Mahesh said, the players who played like they would have in T20 today, but they did back then, I think they deserve a bit of a lot of credit as well, because they were playing at a time when such kind of hitting and such kind of risk taking was not the norm, but they were still taking those risks because of whatever reason, right? Because they played that way, because they felt they were best suited to take those risks, and it came off. I mean, someone like Kapil Dev would have been such a massive IPL star. He was anyway a massive ODI and Test star. I mean, he was the biggest cricketer in India at the time, and one of the greatest of all time. But I mean, just think of Kapil Dev in an IPL, right? Like the way he played one-day cricket and the way he played Test cricket. In fact, I mean, he was striking at 80 and 90 in Test cricket. I mean, just imagine how much of an impact he would have had in the ODI game. So people like that, and it's often said that Kapil didn't make the most of his batting talent in Tests. It's just one way to look at it, but the other way to look at it is that he chose to play that way at a time when not many were, and the risks that he was taking then were like often unheard of. I mean, come on, 24 runs to save the follow-on and you hit 4 sixes. I mean, come on, it's like you have to like, take your hat off to someone who does that, right? I mean, forget doing that in the early 90s. I mean, even if you do that today, I mean, it'll be seen as reinventing Test cricket, as it has been recently. So, yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of credit to be given to those who went that route well before the T20 era. So we can start with some names and players. And I think one of the things that we thought about was that we will be picking players largely by the era in which they sort of peaked at. So while there will be some players who also took part in the IPL in the early days, but that would have been well past their prime. So we are primarily focusing on players whose peak was in the late 80s, early and through the 90s, and maybe even like the initial part of 2000, but not too much after that.
Let's do openers first.
Yeah, okay, openers. Yeah.
Mahesh.
So
Mahesh was firmly against going for obvious opening choices like Jayasurya and Afridi because they have already played T20s. So what's the point? So Mahesh, give us your exotic picks.
No, it's not about exotic picks. I was just trying to define the ground rules. Like if you say, like for, like Jayasurya is the obvious pick, but he also played T20 and sure, Sachin also played past his peak, right? Like then am I allowed to pick Sachin, right? And also the reason why I said it is that there's a general perception that a particular type of player, like an aggressive player in Test or ODI, would have translated into a great T20 player, and we have seen that over the years that that's not true. And to crack T20 requires its own sort of approach, right? Like, okay, if I have to think of players who would have, I mean, it's just a guess, but I'm just saying that players would have probably understood that there is no value for your wicket, or there's very little value for wicket as compared to playing in a longer format. Someone like Ijaz Ahmed, for instance, I think would have gone berserk, who would have probably thrown his bat at everything and would have adapted the format better, like the way Sehwag did, for instance, right? I mean, Sehwag also played ODI cricket that way, so you can't really say he adapted because that's his natural game. And I would also think, like if I had to think of someone, I mean, I didn't really watch Clive Lloyd, so it's a tricky territory. But I'm saying Clive Lloyd could have been like the Gale of its time, right? Of his time. If T20s happened in the 80s, Clive Lloyd would have pretty much cracked it the way that that Gale did.
Would you go for Ijaz and Clive Lloyd as your opener?
I mean, okay, I'm cheating when I say Clive Lloyd because I didn't watch Clive Lloyd. I've only seen him in highlights, so that's not counted. So I'll probably go with Ijaz. And he's not technically...
Why not Anwar? Anwar was also very good, right?
Yeah, but he was too classical. I feel like he's a batsman. He puts the price on his wicket. Like I can't see him throwing his wicket away, which I can see Ijaz doing, right?
And Lloyd was also just 1 point on Lloyd. I mean, now we're seeing like the emergence of the optimal T20 body type as well, right? I mean, you see like as you move along, you see that the batters are getting much taller. They're that's broad-chested. You have the Cameron Greens, Tim Davids. Australia's basically mass producing them in some factory, and West Indies have mass produced them before. And Clive Lloyd had the perfect body type. I mean, and the bat used to look like a toothpick in his hand. I mean, he used to just like just stand there like with that toothpick and just like he had all the shots. So in fact, that famous 100 that he made in the 1975 World Cup final. I mean, Richie Benaud, like when Lloyd is walking off, Richie Benaud actually says this is one of the greatest hundreds you will see in any format of the game. So basically saying that don't just class this as a one day kind of innings. This is like so good an innings that you could see it anywhere. And I would like to extend that to any format, being even like T20s. So and to add to Lloyd, I mean, another player I didn't watch, but I've seen only snippets of is this Collis King, who came in the 1979 final and just like absolutely hammered the hell out of England. Like that, I mean, he was batting with Viv Richards and he was overshadowing Viv Richards. I mean, how many times can a player do that? So yeah, and again, Collis King, like, massive hitter, like fantastic, muscular, ripped body and all that. So yeah, perfect for T20. Not to body shame anyone here, but I'm saying that there is an optimal body type that is developing for a hitting in T20. Yeah.
So Mahesh has gone. Ijaz.
No, I would go with Ijaz, and my other choice is not a conventional opener, but I think he would have been a great opener in T20, which is Aravinda. I think Aravinda would have. I mean, I don't know. Who knows? I'm just making a case here, but I feel like Aravinda would have adapted to the T20 format. I mean, he liked throwing his wicket away anyway, right? Like he in his mood, he can do things that nobody else can do. you listen to Sangakkara talking about Aravinda, and you feel like, oh my God, he's saying everything that we thought about Aravinda, and he's probably the greatest batsman. And for him to talk about Aravinda that way, I think I would have wanted Aravinda to open because he would have smashed the new ball all around the park.
Fair choices. I'm repeating what you said because I'm noting it down. So we will read out the squad at the end.
No, but if you have other choices, throw it open because, now having seen T20 for so long, I am inclined to believe that Anwar would not have
Let's put our squads, respective squads. I'm not constructing one single squad for all four of us. So I'm just putting out the choices. Sidby, what are your choices for openers?
Yeah, I think Aravinda is a fantastic choice. In fact, when Aravinda started his career, Aravinda's peak was, of course, when he was the absolute king of ODI batting and even Test batting. But what we know of Aravinda, what we think of Aravinda is the way he used to pace his innings, right? Like he was so good across the gears. He could bat so well in all situations. First 15 overs, he could come and hammer it around. Then 15 to 35, he could beautifully place the ball in the field, find the gaps, and then he could also take it off in the end. But the early Aravinda was, as nicknamed Mad Max. He was the great T20 sort of player. I mean, he would just come and want to hit everything out of the park, and everything, including like Curtly Ambrose bouncers, and he wouldn't care. Like he get all the shots and he would just go for it. So yeah, I think Aravinda is a great pick. Personally, I've already spoken about Srikanth. I think Srikanth would have been fantastic there as well because Srikanth was, he just went for it. He didn't really care for consolidation, accommodation, accumulation, and all that. On these, he would just he would stand there. He would take that trip to square leg, look at the sun, come back, and just whack. That's it. There's no anything else going there. So I think Srikanth would have made a good opener in T20. He would have, he would have failed a large number of times, but that's T20, right? I mean, you would have also got that really quick starts quite often. So Srikanth is definitely, I would put him as an option. The other one I'll think about, but you guys put some thoughts now first.
Yeah. Pak, do you have two people as your opener?
Yeah, I have two people. So one person I want to determine his eligibility because I'm not sure he hasn't played a ton of T20 cricket, but he may have because he's sort of on the cusp, and that person is Nathan Astle.
I don't think he has played that much. I mean, and he had his peak in the 90s only. Right? So
definitely so, Astle.
Yeah, Nathan Astle is probably my. So I had if you guys had disqualified him, then I would have picked Great Patch. It's for New Zealand substitution. But my pick is Astle. I think he would have hit it out of the park, literally both as an opener and as in terms of his contribution. And then I have to I grew up in the 80s hearing lores of West Indies cricket, right? And I've seen a little bit of this player. I think he's a fantastic hooker and puller of the ball. And so if the starting, I just imagine people bowling slow bouncers to him and then him hooking them out of the park, and that's Desmond Haynes. I just have this picture in my head of Haynes hooking and pulling from the 80s that I cannot get out of my brain, and so my other opener pick is Desmond Haynes.
But Haynes is inefficient even for ODIs.
Haynes was slow, man. Haynes was, he hooked and pulled and all, but he hooked and pulled once every 10 balls, man. He was very slow, generally.
Yeah.
Haynes, nothing against Haynes. Haynes was the kind of player who epitomized one-day cricket at that time. Is that you, as an opener, you bat through the 50 overs and get 100 by the end. And that was what ODI cricket was. And then the team would get 220, 250. And then your West Indies had the bowling to basically keep the other side down. And that was perfect at the time. But I don't know about Haynes in T20, honestly. I think someone like Lloyd or someone like Collis King would have been a far more efficient T20 pick.
Yeah, I haven't watched a lot of him, right? I only know I only know the package the package highlights that I've seen of him, and so that's kind of what is determining my choice. But yeah, it makes sense. He was definitely a product of his time. I would say. So maybe not the best pick, but that was sort of my.
Right.
I mean, maybe I could just open with Great Batch and Astle.
Oh, Great Batch and Astle is not a bad combo, dude.
Yeah.
My second pick, I'll give you the second pick. It's a little, I mean, I saw very little of him, and most people might have seen very little of him. But I had huge hopes for this Australian batsman called Michael Venuto, who, of course, batting coach for their team for a long time. And he played like little. I mean, I'm looking at the Cricinfo stats now. He just played 9 ODIs. So, not much to go by at all. But in those 9 ODIs, he was striking at 85 and he got like 250s. He seemed to be a player who just went full. And he was playing against South Africa. I remember in some of those games, good
South Africa and New Zealand tri-series, right?
That, and I think he also went to South Africa when Australia won the series there. And a good South African bowling attack in those conditions, which were helping their bowlers, and he just didn't hold back. I mean, really, the classical Aussie, tall lefty kind of player, long levers, and he would throw one outside off, and he would just go for it big time. He had a good pull, good cut, and I thought that I basically expected him to be like what Gilchrist became. That was me with a very sort of poor eye maybe for talent, but he had that kind of impact on me, and I would say Michael Venuto would definitely would have become a top T20 player had he played maybe 10, 15 years later.
Great. So that leaves my choice for opener. So before we had this topic, we were in the group, and Mahesh was raised a very valid point that we can't pick, obvious players like Sanath and Afridi as openers. So I thought
my objection was not obvious. It's that they play T20.
Yes. So and so I thought about it. So I've come up with a brand new opening solution. Instead of Sanath and Afridi, I'm going to go with Afridi and Sanath. So Afridi will take the opening, and because I am concerned that Sanath might waste a ball or two. He might get a sighter in. That is a inefficiency that I want to avoid. So I'll start with Afridi and then Sanath, because these two people we didn't know 100 was possible in 37 balls, man. I mean, if before that has happened, or a 50 was possible in 17 balls. I mean, if you had told me that before all these things happened, I'd have thought, okay, you guys are playing some book cricket in school, or you're making up your own scorecard, or stuff like that. I mean, these kind of things.
Okay, Ashok, I have to stop you here. Afridi played 99 T20 internationals. That is not a small number.
But he hit, man. He hit 137 before.
I know. But I'm saying, but he got. It's like Andrew Simons would have been a phenomenal player, but he also played T20.
Yeah, he won the World Cup for them, T20 World Cup for them.
Yeah, I'm saying, but that's not really like these players would have made great T20. That's like saying Chris Gayle would have been a phenomenal T20 batsman, but he was.
Yeah, of course. But he started only in 99, no? So, and he had like 22 centuries or something. He did. But the Afridi of the 90s, dude, when he was going for... and
that is like, I can say Sachin of the 90s, right? Sachin of the early 90s would have been a great.
Yeah, but I think there is a fair point about that 37 ball 100 that you bring up, actually. Because I think I didn't watch that innings live. I don't even know if it was televised in India. I've only seen like...
It was not. It was not
televised.
Yeah. And it took a long time to even visualize how the hell that's even possible. Like 37 balls. Like I remember the next day when I was reading the papers, I was actually like calculating, like, okay, so you hit this many fours, this many sixes. Like how does one do that? That's how.
Yeah. So this was an actual math problem that we used to give ourselves in class. It's like, what is the maximum number of dot balls possible if you hit 137 balls? Right? Like
man, real thing. Epic. This is geekery to a higher level.
Yeah. The answer is, of course, 2020, I think. Because 17,
of course, 21. Oh, sorry, 20.
Oh, this guy is actually doing the calculation now. Okay, man.
20.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
No, there's no disputing Afridi, right? But the question is he like, what's the ground rule? Like, do you include someone who played a fair number of T20s?
Yeah. I mean, Graham Hick could have been another choice, but Graham Hick also played T20s and had 170 strike rate. So he was like, but I don't know who he was bashing in those T20s. So I would even go with Graham Hick, but my first two choices, I mean, I can't move past the obvious, dude. I mean, if T20s were there in 90s, as we set the context, how can you look past Sanath and Shahid Afridi? Yeah, of course, Afridi played 99 T20s. He holds the record and all that. But come on, man, this is Afridi.
I mean, it depends, right? If IPL had happened in the early 90s, then people would have been like, who is Sanath? And then Mumbai Indians or someone would have picked this guy, Sanath Jayasuriya from Sri Lanka, who then 96 would have just taken over the world.
Then in that World Cup final, he would have credited Mumbai Indians for discovering him and nurturing him as a talent. And all.
Yes. So I credit John Wright for finding me.
Oh, by the way, we had already done this myth busting, right? Jayasuriya was an established test batsman before he became an established ODI batsman. So that itself is myth. Now you add Mumbai Indians launched his ODI career. That's myth on myth.
Yeah, and he did play for Mumbai Indians. I mean,
yeah, he did.
Complete the circle. Yeah.
Yeah. So my two choices. Okay, fine. If you don't want Afridi, I'll go with Graham Hick. He was supposed to be. Yeah, he actually had a decent T20 career, dude. I mean, this is something that people. Graham Hick, when he burst out, he was like touted out to be the next Tendulkar or the Tendulkar.
No, that and all I remember, but I don't even think Graham Hick was a. I didn't even think of Graham Hick as a great ODI player. I mean, he was okay. He was good, but not great.
I'll tell you. He has 1,000 runs, 1,200 runs in T20s at 36 average, 156 strike rate. So
yeah, but where did
today I learned he played any T20s at all. Like, I just in my head he's.
Yeah. So there is validation that if T20s were there in the 90s, Graham Hick could have surprised us all by being like on.
Maybe. I don't remember any of Graham Hick in T20s. So yeah, maybe.
No, even this is something that I also learned much later. I couldn't associate Graham Hick with T20s, but apparently he did.
Also, this is reminding me of one article that I read many years ago about, I think it was in one of the British magazines. And I clearly remember the headline. Has Graham Hick failed England or has England failed Graham Hick? So now I think this new development makes me think England failed Graham Hick by not inventing T20s much earlier. See, I'll tell you, England means I'll tell you the option that we have. There's this cricketer called Alistair Brown. Ali Brown, who made like some double 100 in like some ODI game well before anybody could even have
in a county
thought
game,
about
right?
that.
I don't know, whatever, the listing game.
Sunday League or whatever they used to call that. Yeah, one of those games. But Alistair Brown, and he played in that famous series in Sharjah that England had.
Yeah. There are two Browns, right? Alistair Brown opening the batting, Dougie Brown opening the bowling.
Yeah, Dougie Brown opening the bowling. Correct.
Anyway, so that's our openers. So you go ahead.
Okay, number 3 we can skip. We can just move on. I don't think there is a dispute.
Viv Richards.
Yes. There's only one choice.
Yeah, I mean, I
had Aravinda at number 3. And Viv at 4. That was my pick. But yes, like it's Viv has to be on the team. Like there's no question. In one way or one position or another, he's on the team. Yes.
Okay, I'll just For me,
I think Viv. So. I mean, I mean that's the kind of Viv Richards is basically, I think, any format. He was playing T20s and ODIs. He was playing ODIs and tests. Then he was also a great test player. I mean, it's hard to leave him out.
No, not just that, right? I mean, it's not about greatness. The fact that when people are still figuring out how to play ODIs, he understood the format and then he went ahead and cracked it. Like,
I mean, the thing is, he was so good that people gave him the leeway to do what he wanted. They're like, yes, this guy gets it. This guy does something that I cannot do, and I'm going to let him do it. like, can you imagine? Like,
I don't think he needed the leeway. I mean, he was the boss.
He was the boss, yeah. So, like, eventually he was, but like, I'm sure when he started out, he wasn't, and he still did it his way, right?
No, the way I think about it
Richards is basically like the way I see it is what Gale is to T20s, right? how Gale figured out T20s well before many people even understood what T20 is. Richard figured out ODIs maybe like 5 times better.
I would say better because Gale still had the habit of defending the first few balls before launching, whereas Richards cracked it perfect. I don't think there's been a better ODI batsman, and for the first generation ODI batsman to have that title is extraordinary.
The way I see it is that for other people so that we pick in the 11, we would have to qualify by saying we should imagine that if T20s were there, this guy would be good. For Viv Richards, I don't even have to imagine, man. I know he would be good. It is just, I mean, the guy was like on another planet compared to his contemporaries. So Viv is 3.
Yeah, so forget his contemporaries, even his own team.
Next generation.
Which had like, next generation. But even in his own team, like we were talking about Haynes, right? Haynes was the classical cricketer of the time. But Viv was so far ahead of even
No, forget Haynes. Haynes is a bad example, right? But if you remove Richards, Clive Lloyd would have been that figure who cracked the format the earliest. You had a Clive Lloyd whose strike rate was like 80, right? And then to surpass that and to kind of leave him behind by a distance, both in terms of the volume of runs he scored and the pace of scoring, it's incredible. I mean, there is just no comparison. I mean, you can argue Sachin in the next generation, but really, Sachin was not so far ahead of his contemporaries as Viv was.
Okay, speaking of Sachin, I come to number 4 of our list. Pak has already said it is Aravinda and Viv. So my choice for 4 is Sachin. Because Sachin of the 90s is I think one of the few rare sides of frequency and also quantity. He was mad, dude. He was completely and nothing in the 90s is as good as Sachin of the 90s. So I think my 4 would be
Sachin of the 90s is an opener, right? Sachin of the 90s was at his peak was as an opener. You're picking him at 4.
Yeah. Because I can't. I mean, how else do you want me to pick? I can't. I can't change my combinations. I have a combination.
I will go back to the 90s argument and say no. I will pick Brian Lara.
that was actually my backup for Sachin. So yeah, I mean, fair choice. I would actually also say Brian Lara.
But these guys, come on, they're great batsmen. They put too much price on the wicket. I mean, Richards is an extraordinary exception. Sehwag is an exception.
Lara could go for it when.
No.
And
okay,
Lara,
does Azhar feature in anybody's cabinet?
By features, but that was my 3rd choice. My 3 choices were Sachin, Lara, and Bhai. Sachin because he's Sachin, Lara because of course he's Lara, but also at number 4 you're likely to face spin in a T20, and Lara against spin was like extraordinarily good, any kind of spin. So I would also not. I mean, and even Azhar because he's my personal favorite. I don't think Azhar was exceptionally quick. He was quick when situations demanded or when he was on 80 and all that. But I don't think out of the gate he was not that quick.
No, would he have been quick? Like if we knew that there's only 20 overs and so on. I don't think so. I'm just saying that's a question.
That I have a problem. I don't think he would.
I think Azhar is schizophrenic, right? Like there is angry Azharuddin and then there is like disinterested Azharuddin. It depends on what.
I think there was a theory that there is mustachioed Azharuddin and non-mustachioed.
Yeah,
apparently the mustachioed one was
and like that. Like I would pit angry Azharuddin against anybody, right? Like, but disinterest. Like the thing is, like you never know which Azharuddin you're going to get, and that's always the problem with Azhar.
I'm going all South Africa. Adrian Kuiper.
What?
I don't know why, but I just...
Yeah, you saw him for one game, I think.
Not just one game. I remember him also hitting like 3 or 4 sixes against Australia in a match. But I will never forget the 6 that he hit in Delhi. In the 3rd ODI, he hit a 6 to finish off. I'll never forget that. And, it just... Like I was just going by images, right? Then I had this image of him hitting 4 sixes against Australia, I think. Then I went and checked his Cricinfo profile. Apparently, recently, like in Masters cricket, he played a T20 in which he scored at a strike rate of 200 and scored some 6 or 8 sixes or something. Let me check. So, like, just to Like I went to check how many sixes he hit, like just to check my memory. But after seeing that scorecard, I'm even more convinced it's a good pick.
Is he a top order though? Is he a top 4?
I think he batted number 5, but I have another candidate for number 5, so I'm going to go with number 4 for Adrian Kuiper.
Okay, right. So 4 people have decided. Number 5, Deepak.
My number 5 is Robin Singh. The number of times I have pinned my hopes on Robin Singh finishing off a match for India
Come on.
is like it's basically my entire 90s was like, oh shit, Sachin got out, Robin has to do something, right? Like that's basically most of my 90s. It's like
That
one
is
is like Sachin.
That is blow to Jadeja, man.
I know, but like I'm like that. I'll go with Jadeja if I want someone to.
As an Ashwin fan,
fast.
You should understand the partiality to Robin Singh.
Yeah,
please.
exactly. Exactly. I'm like one is Sachin parochialism, other is Tamil Nadu parochialism. Like that's basically what it is.
What about Trinidad? He's also from Trinidad.
My number 5 is Carl Hooper, because I thought he's a good 6-hitter, man. I've always had that impression that he's a good hitter of the ball. Unfortunately, he didn't hit that many, in all the cricket that I've seen of him. But I always got that impression that he was like way too talented and ability to clear the ropes. It was between him and Ricardo Powell. I couldn't go with Ricardo Powell, so I went with Carl Hooper. I like Carl Hooper.
Ricardo Powell is a good blast.
That's my next choice, by the way.
That's your number 5. But too small a sample size there.
Yeah, but you're going on that, right? Like it's not like that's the whole idea of T20, right? You go with a small sample size and see what works. I'm deeply suspicious of these batsmen. Right? Anybody who scored more than 5,000 runs, they'll put a price on their wicket. They'll come and say, okay, we are trying to assess the condition of the pitch, and we thought 140 was a good score on this wicket, and bowlers let us down. I'm deeply suspicious of these batsmen.
Ricardo Powell was someone I thought about, and then I was also thinking of Ijaz actually, but Ijaz, I think you came up as an opener.
That's fine.
I was thinking of Ijaz at the middle order actually. So Ijaz at 5. And the image of Ijaz is that match in Lahore against India, right? Where he
but that's because he opened, right? That's my image. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So basically, he finished like a ODI match in T20 time or something like that.
Man, those sixes were massive. They were not just clearing the boundaries. They were going long, but more importantly, they were going so high.
Yeah. They sort of left a deep scar on any of the Indian fans who watched that game. I mean, it was like brutal hitting, man. I mean, there have been hitters, right? But yeah, yes, what you're saying is right. First of all, his style. He had this axe murderer kind of batting style. It's like, like cutting. It's like a, axe that he had. He didn't have a bat. He had an axe. And then the power with which he was like just absolutely destroying the ball, like the Venkatesh Prasad and all. I think like when nobody has hit him that far. I mean, people have hit him for sixes. Nobody has hit him like outside the ground and all like that. That was like extraordinarily quick. So that was my Ricardo Powell. I thought of Ijaz Ahmed. I thought of, and of course, my personal pick for middle order. You can either bat him at 5 or 6. Is Atul Bedade. I mean, come on, the hope and hype with which Atul Bedade walked into the Indian team. I mean, nobody, honestly, if you are not around at the time when Atul Bedade made his debut, you don't know what hype is. That is the level of hype that this guy came in, and I still remember, right, that.
To be fair, he made a couple of 40s and also. So
he hit 4 sixes, no, in that innings. Yeah. I don't know.
Exactly.
I think of 4.
I remember the sixes he hit in that match where India had lost that match. Like it was a complete, like there was nothing left to play for. But then Bedade sixes. That is what we used to remember after that. No, but seriously, like the newspapers used to do, like the Hindu newspaper used to do like a short profile of people who used to make their debuts, right? And I still, in my head, it's etched there. It's like hard hitting Bedade to make his debut. And so, that it's like, imagine, like after all these years, it's still stuck in my head. And he came in with like, in the Ranji Trophy game, he had like absolutely blitzed Mumbai. And, that was and then, of course, doing well against Mumbai and all is always like, was that time especially was a huge deal. Ravi Shastri was like talking highly of him and saying that, here is the player that India have been waiting for and all that. And then basically I was watching and my dad, of course, being the typical, uncle, had to crack this dad joke and say, hard hitting her, hardly hitting her. And he was looking at him and he was watching him and saying, so, yeah. Anyway, but Bedade, I mean, I remember referencing Bedade at some point when I wrote an article about Rishabh Pant. And basically, I was thinking Bedade with a sort of a IPL-like structure at that time, you never know what he could have been because he was taking huge risks in the Ranji Trophy, man, in the 90s, which is like, putting your everything on the line.
Dude, if Valtati and Asnodkar could have an IPL career, I'm pretty sure that Bedade would have been like a 3-season thing at least. 3 or 4 seasons.
Bedade would have been a 3-season superstar. Like he would have just come, lit up the IPL and then gone off. And then for 20 years, people have been
talking, sure. Yeah. So we have done the top order. Now 6, 7, 8. All-rounders if possible.
No, sorry. Just before we finalize, one of the other options for 5 and 6 that I had along with Powell was Justin Kemp, who I enjoyed watching immensely.
But Kemp played,
Kemp played a lot. So that's why it is kind of cheating. So I had to rule it out. And
Didn't Kemp even play Indian cricket?
Oh, he must have, right? Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
he did. He did, if I remember correctly.
And the other choice I had for 5 or 6, which I'm going to choose as 6. So I'll come to that next. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Go ahead. 6. We'll start.
6 is Zulu. Lance Closena.
Ayyo, my 7, man. Okay. Anyways. 6.
Yeah. No,
I thought he batted too deep.
6. Yeah. No, 6 is fine. 6 is fine. I think, you'd have come in at like the 12th, 13th over and taken it from there. Been perfect. Yeah. I think Zulu,
he had a tendency to take it to the end, but that's because he was playing ODI cricket and he was usually batting with the tail. But I'm convinced that if he played T20, he would have taken a lot more chances from the get-go.
I think he played T20, a little bit of T20s he did. He caught the early T20 win.
Yeah. He also played that ICL. He also played ICL.
Oh, no.
He also played this thing. But that's fine. I think one thing about Closena is he was one of the first few cricketers who used to really rigorously practice range hitting. Like he used to actually go out there and he used to like get them to toss balls at him and he used to make sure that he got that swing perfectly so he could get that arc hitting. And that was unheard of at that time. Not many people so religiously practiced hitting as he did. And it worked for him and he was OG, man. He was like 99 World Cup. I mean, I can't think of the 99 World Cup without thinking of Closena. That should have been his World Cup. If not for that run out, who knows? But yeah, that was his World Cup.
The question I have is like, are you guys actively picking a keeper, or we are like in this hypothetical? This is
we have to pick a keeper.
Yeah, so then like I'm. So
in fact, nobody we have picked can even, I think, do part-time keeping.
No,
Astral can do part-time keeping, but like I don't know anybody else that we've picked can do part-time keeping. So mine 6 is actually a keeper. That's why I asked, because I want somebody who can hit if needed and then can also play with the tail. And it's Andy Flower. I don't think Andy Flower played any T20, but my 6 is Andy Flower. I need somebody to be able to hit a 6.
Andy Flower, not a hitter, man. Andy Flower.
I need somebody to be able to play the spinners.
But you would have done sweep and reverse sweep and all that, right?
Come on, man. You have Aravinda, Viv, Robin. They can hammer. Go with a specialized keeper.
Yeah, but I mean, keeper is not. I mean, Flower is a specialized keeper, no? He's not a.
He's
what do you mean? Specialized keeper? Who is the specialized keeper?
Kiran More.
Nayan Mogia.
No, I'm thinking, who is this guy who can just do keeping? Yeah.
But anyways, Dhoni, MS Dhoni.
Hey,
Dhoni, you can't pick, dude. He's still playing.
No, I'm saying who's the specialized keeper? Last season.
Correct. I thought you were picking Dhoni as 90s cricketer and all.
But anyways, my 6 would be Chris Cranes.
But Keynes played. He also played ICL, right?
That way, Closena also played, no? My 7 would be Klusner.
Jayasuriya played, everyone played.
Yeah.
No, Jayasuriya played IPL, so that is proper cheating. Okay, Keynes is okay, borderline.
Keynes and Polo. I mean, Keynes and who's that? Klusner are my 6 and 7.
Sorry, when you say Keynes, two things. Given how his dad used to hit, he could also be a candidate. And given our age group,
could actually be
we are
there.
more
But
likely
I have
to watch both.
I have not watched Lance Keynes that much. So I'm going with the son, Chris Keynes and Lance Klusner as my 6.
Oh, you're doing 6 and 7, is it? Okay.
Because Klusner he already said no, so I'm going to do 6 and 7 Klusner and Keynes.
Wait, Klusner we've said 6. So okay.
My 6 is Keynes and my 7 is Klusner, is what I'm saying. So who's your 6, Sidvi? Your 6 is the only.
My 6. I agree. Klusner's a thing. My other option was Kapil. I mean that was.
Then you can do him at 7.
7 too late, right, for Kapil, but it's okay. I mean, I guess
Kapil is my 7.
Everyone to hit anyway. So yeah.
Yeah, Kapil is my 7 basically. So I think
so I'll go with Klusner and Kapil 6 and 7. Same. I mean, Kapil, you have to pick, man. I mean,
you have to. All, there's no.
He was like born for cricket. I mean, there's nothing you can. Just like we spoke about Viv. I mean, Kapil is just like absolutely natural cricketing god, man. I mean, you have to just get that guy into a T20.
So that's your 6 and 7. So might as well, Mahesh, go with your 7. You have only 6. Kapil. So we have done 7. Now we reach a stage where we are going to get into bowling, but only one of us have a keeper. So
no, I was thinking. So I couldn't think of an obvious choice.
I have a choice. Good choice. Not an obvious.
Then I went and looked up.
It's a good lower order choice. Listen to it. Moin Khan.
Moin Khan is actually a good choice.
Moin Khan is a very good choice.
He's a good choice. Yeah.
Moin Khan is a good choice. And if you realize, in terms of our top 6, we already have Kapil, Klusner. We already have some good bowling in there. I mean,
we have bowling everywhere.
You don't need. Yeah. So
Viv
you have Aravinda if you want.
Viv
can bowl few. Yeah. So Moin Khan. I think Moin Khan is a good choice as a keeper because again. He was one of those who could whack it properly. Like he could whack, and he had good range of strokes. Could sweep. He could sweep the fast bowlers also. He was like Flower
hit as much as Moin Khan, at least as far as I remember.
Flower was a great batsman, man. He was a great batsman. I don't think he was that good a hitter.
He's a far better batsman than Moin Khan, but he could also hit.
He was like as good as some of the
top order batsmen most time.
Yeah.
But I think by those the standards of that time, Flower was also an aggressive batsman. I mean, in a sort of traditional, conventionally aggressive, not like T20 aggressive, but he was.
I mean, not like Douglas Merrilia aggressive, man. He was not
now you're like imposing all sorts of standards.
So I was looking for keeper, specialist wicket keeper. The closest I could think of was Ian Smith, right? I looked up his data, and the data kind of backs my perception of him being a busy player, as we used to say then.
Who is that? I didn't get it. Ian Smith. Okay.
Ian Smith, by the barest of margins.
Now he could also develop as a great commentator while playing, so that also helps.
Yeah, and Ian Smith in that '92 World Cup was, had some good little cameos down the order.
No, even that in his greatest test innings, he was whacking them around a lot, right? Was it the 9th
against India
partnership?
Yeah.
So yours is Ian Smith. You'll have an option. Okay. What is your option, Ra, for number 8, Sidvi? Moin?
Yeah, I think Moin is a very good choice as a keeper, aggressive keeper, hitter. Yeah.
Yeah. So that leaves 8 for Pak.
Yeah, I'm going to stay with the Pakistani team. My number 8 is Wasim Akram.
Okay.
Oh, you already picked the keeper. I thought you were going to go for
Rashid Latif. No, definitely not.
Triggering memories for Sidvi. 96. Didn't he whack some sixes in the?
Yeah. One huge six he whacked. In fact, that people were genuinely searching for that ball in the skies. Where the hell? How far did that go? So yeah.
So that is his 8.
But Akram is obviously a great option. Yorker bowler and all.
Akram is fantastic.
Can also whack the ball a bit, no? Can also whack the ball a bit.
Yeah, he can also whack.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah.
Yeah. He can.
Akram-
So yeah.
Akram was my 9.
Because-
Huh.
Yeah, I'll pick Akram at 9 because we need a keeper. So Moin at 8, Akram at 9.
So let's go. Let's officially do this. 9, 10, 11 remaining. Start with Mahesh. Your 9 is Akram.
Akram, yeah.
Sidvi's 9 is Wasim Akram.
Yeah.
Pok, your 9 is?
My 9 is Ian Botham.
What the hell, man? You're playing Andy Flower at 7 and Ian Botham at 9.
Yes. I'm picking Botham more for his bowling than I am for his batting. So if you look at it, everyone on my if Botham's having a bad day, everyone on my lineup can bowl. Great Batch can bowl a couple of overs. De Silva can bowl a couple of overs. Viv can bowl a couple of overs. So like if Botham's having a bad day, I'll just replace him. I need batting until 9 and a little bit of bowling. I need a good. If Botham's great though, if Bottom bowled a good over, that's like super helpful to have. So my number 9 is Botham.
So
I mean, you would rather pick Imran, right, than Botham.
No,
That's
but I
right.
think
I
Botham
actually-
is a more destructive batsman, right?
yeah.
Yeah,
Botham's more destructive batting for sure.
Yeah, but then you should have picked him up the order, not so far down.
This is
I mean, like
Yeah, you
honestly,
can
I
rotate,
can
of
basically I can swap Flower and Botham, right? Anytime.
you know what you did. You have turned Ian Botham into Shardul Thakur
I was about to say that.
or Deepak Chand.
He
Yeah.
is Lord Beefy for a reason.
Yeah, for a reason. Lord, for a reason.
Now that leaves us only with 10 and 11. Who are your two main bowlers?
Controversial choice coming up. Stuart
on.
McGill.
And 11?
10 is Stuart McGill over pretty much any other
Stuart
bowler.
McGill.
Yeah.
What?
That came from, man.
No, I was thinking in T20s, you need bowlers who can spin the ball a lot or who bowl a good googly and who can consistently keep doing that, right? I mean, Shane was great, but it's a very romantic story. Like if Shane played long enough, I'm not sure. But I feel like McGill had all the tools to be a great T20 bowler. He could spin the ball a long way, and he could also spin the ball a long way when he bowls a googly. And I'm reasonably sure if he played T20, he would have bowled a lot more googlies. Like, I mean, even in Test cricket, he's bowling them at frequent intervals. But he would have bowled a lot more googlies, and it would have been impossible to. It's like Kuldeep Yadav, but like slightly, like 90% Kuldeep Yadav or something.
Okay,
Yeah,
for
I
similar
think-
reasons, I was going to go with Paul Strand actually,
Paul Strand is a
For
good choice.
similar
Yeah.
reasons.
Actually, man, I should
but
have
I
gone with that.
didn't go with McGill. I went with Paul Strand. I think he would have been a good player. He could also bat a bit, so good for T20s. And good like
Paul Strand's a
good,
great
spin the
choice.
ball a lot.
And he had a great googly, and he used to bowl
Yeah.
them frequently. Yeah.
My 10 would be Sucklen.
That's my 11.
My 10 would be Sucklen. That leaves only Pok's 10.
Yeah, it's funny. Like I have to pick a wrist spinner, so I picked Abdul Qadir. That was my wrist spinner. I mean, I don't know whether he had a good googly or not, but I just picked him based on like the little wrist spinning that I've seen. I'm sure he had a good googly.
And he was a good hitter down the order.
I think I had the same principles as Conrad, as Mahesh. And I wanted a wrist spinner, and the wrist spinner that I've always venerated, maybe almost on par with one because of like herd legend is Abdul Qadir. So my number 10 is Abdul Qadir.
Okay. That brings us to the last person on the team. Who's yours, Conrad? Mahesh?
Sucklen.
Sucklen. Okay.
Yeah.
Why are you so spin heavy, dude?
What do you mean by spin heavy? I'm not that spin heavy. I just picked two spinners, right?
I'll tell your squad. Okay. Then fine.
I mean, he has Kapil, Klusner and all.
Yeah. Wasim he has. Okay,
Wasim,
fine.
yeah.
Yeah, enough.
Okay. Fine. Who's your number 11, Sidvi?
Yeah, I close choice between Sucklen and Wakar. So I was, I mean, of course, Wakar can go for 80 runs in 4 overs, or he can, clean up the team as well. So that's a huge risk. But yeah, it's between Sucklen and Wakar.
No, my 11 is Wakar straight away. So yeah, that is my 11. So that leaves only Pok's 11. Who's your 11,
Yeah.
Ra?
My 11 is Ambrose.
Ambrose. That was my second choice, but anyways.
Ambrose also good hitter down the order. Better than
I mean,
Waka.
yeah, long handle basically, right? So I just needed somebody with long levers down the order. So like that's kind of
You need some
all
hitting.
what and all my ears are hearing, man. Did somebody just say Ambrose is a good hitter?
Yes, man. He is 81 all-out match. Don't you remember?
Yeah, I remember. But
so my thing with Ambrose is like entertainment guarantee, right? Like it's either going to be fun or he's going to get out. Like he's gonna like get out, and he's going to either hit a six or he's going to get out in some really hilarious way. And like that's my
also apart from Suckling, I mean Suckling again is the kind of sort of the pioneer, right? In ODIs, he was the kind of bowler who could restrict. I mean, when he used to bowl in the death, it was almost impossible to hit him at his peak. But there was one more like left field choice I thought of, but then I realized that fellow had played some T20. Ajanta Mendes.
No, but he played quite a lot of T20s. I mean, that was my first obvious pick, but he played quite a lot. Yeah.
Dude, my first choice was Vaughan, man, for wrist spinner, but then he had won a tournament and all that.
He's the opening IPL's first winner, man. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I mean, Chandra would have been great, but I didn't watch Chandra. So
yeah. That way, I would have also picked Dennis Lilly and all that. But why? Anyway, so this is
no, but a great fast bowler is pretty much useless in T20. I mean, I'm picking Akram, probably the only great fast bowler who's picked for his bowling, but is also a handy batsman. Couple I'm picking more for batting than bowling. A great spinner is still like a great T20 spinner. Is still a great asset, but a great fast bowler. I mean, Bumrah is probably.
No, I think Ambrose might have been the Bumrah of his day, right? Like,
I think he would have been fine.
Then you have to pick Joel Garner, right? I mean, even more than Ambrose.
I have not seen him.
So Garner was my first.
Oh yeah, Garner we haven't seen.
Okay,
fair enough. Ambrose would have been the closest.
Yeah, because I think they had the height, man. I mean, I think that was itself a big advantage with this team.
I mean, if I can be less cynical, I would pick Garner than let's say one of the spinners. But I'm just deeply cynical of our prism of seeing great bowlers from the past and how they would work in T20s.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, even Wakar, it was a bit of a thing for me because it's like, when you pick Wakar, you can basically lose a match because of the way how attacking he is with the ball. So,
but that's how Tala picks Patirana, no? So you can pick Wakar.
Did he just like...
hey, if you guys say Ambrose is a good hitter, I can say such nonsense also.
I mean,
Ambrose is a good hitter when he's bowling. He hits the batsman.
Dude, Ambrose is a good hitter, man. You go see some of his.
I've seen him hit a couple of sixes and all that. I don't disagree, but it's just funny to me to visualize Ambrose hitting sixes in a T20. Man. It's too funny.
Yeah. The only one name that I had noted down, which I didn't bring up, which is other than Ijaz, I had brought up Ijaz. There was also Basit Ali. So Basit Ali was the other player who I thought would have been a fantastic T20 hitter, other than in that 5-6 kind of position. I mean, Basit Ali, I thought of Basit Ali now because we spoke about Ambrose. I mean, there was a match when he basically just hooks Ambrose for 6, man. Yeah. I mean, at that time, who the hell hooks Ambrose for 6? Only Basit Ali comes in. Anyway, I think we're done.
Let me read out.
Are we picking 12th man drinks person and all that? Or?
Jonty Rhodes, the only option. Jonty Rhodes.
Only option for Jonty, yeah. Must.
Yeah, because, whatever impact, if you... Actually, one of these guys will want to take rest. Just put Rhodes at point and he'll take care of it.
I mean, if I have Botham on my team, you think he'll be done? He'll just come bowl and then go sit. I think.
Botham done after
his 2 hours he'll be done. Yeah.
Actually, you know what? Inzamam hasn't played that many T20s. Actually, he did some for ICL, but.
Let me see this. Let me tell you this. I'm wary of picking great batsmen for T20. Full stop. Yeah. I just don't want to pick them for T20. I feel like their skills are just too advanced for this format, man. Like that's why I had this Andy Flower, Sachin, Aravinda. I'm okay because early Aravinda I saw, but all these guys, I'm not thinking. Only Viv because Viv was sort of this guy.
He was Viv. You don't have to explain. Nobody's going to question him.
But I can't pick the great batsman. I can't pick for T20. Some reason. Yeah.
You picked Lara.
That's true. Maybe I should change that pick to whoever else I'll concede one of your guys' choices. Anyway,
Actually, I was thinking of Craig McMillan, but he did play some T20s. But I remember when Martin Crowe introduced this Max Cricket, right? He was the first one to score 100 in that format. It's like a ridiculous format to score 100. I think if you hit a straight 6, you get 12 runs or something. There is a zone in which if you hit, you get 2x the runs. And he was targeting that. He scored 118 or something in a match here. Unbelievable hitting.
Okay, wait. I think with the common ones we can just slow down. Like Viv, Kapil, Klusner, I think everyone agrees. Akram also everyone agrees.
So let's put down a common 11. Okay, that would be good. So who all? Viv
at 3.
Yeah.
Klusner at 6.
Okay.
Kapil at 7.
Okay.
Oh wait, Fox at Andy Flower. I think that is the one thing that is.
No, but he had Kapil.
I have Kapil also.
Okay.
The only guy who didn't have Kapil is me.
But I have Kapil. Akram also everybody has, except Ashoka. Akram also everybody has.
I think.
I also have Akram. So yeah. So
you also have Akram.
So those are the 4 common picks. That's it. Opener Sanath is not a good pick, is it? Sanath and Aston.
No, it is a great pick, but he just played a lot of T20, so I wouldn't. I would think it's breaking the ground rules.
Okay. I would actually agree that we can go a little creative and make Aravinda open and maybe get his Mad Max into play.
Yeah, Aravinda also 3 of you have, right? So why not? So Aravinda and who all? I mean, the choices are Sanath, Nathan.
I mean, if you're going to play Afridi, you just pick Afridi. But if you're saying Afridi played, then you have to go with someone else.
What are my 2 choices? Aravinda and?
Your 2 choices are Ijaz Ahmed and
Ijaz, yes.
Alistair Brown. Aravinda and Alistair Brown. That will be a good combination to open.
Alistair Brown came out of nowhere, man. Out of no squad.
I thought about it. I thought about it. Yeah.
So, okay, fine. Alistair Brown. Fine.
No, I would still, but both of us also picked Ijaz, right? I mean, he doesn't have a problem with Ijaz. He just had him in a different spot.
Yeah. Ijaz is fine. Ijaz and Aravinda is a good left field opening.
Actually, they're not that left field. They're reasonably. For
opening, both are.
But Ijaz did open in ODIs. I mean, Aravinda, yes, but Ijaz did open in ODIs.
Fair enough. Okay, let's open with them.
3 Viv.
Of course.
4 would be. 4 is a problem. Lara, Atul, Badade. I have Viv, Lara, Viv, Aravinda, and Kuiper. So who is going to be 4? Lara could be 4, no?
Kuiper is a good option for 4 or 5. Yeah.
But if you had to go unanimous choice across the 4 names or 5 names that you mentioned, it's probably Lara. Like, I don't think there's any universe in which. No?
No batsman. No.
Okay.
And Viv is the only exception I'm willing to make.
Then we have to go with Badade.
Badade and Kuiper will.
Ricardo
Kuiper is also fine. Yeah,
Powell is also okay, but I think he played some T20s, but Powell, I'm okay with Ricardo Powell. But I would still go with Adrian Kuiper. I think Kuiper would have been a handful.
Kuiper should be there, I think. Yeah, because Kuiper could also bowl.
Yeah.
I mean, a good handy.
No, I mean, just look at his 6s per match. Like, I mean, dude, it's not just the memory, right? He was a 6-hitter, a frequent 6-hitter.
Yeah.
So that leaves us with that's our top 4: Aravinda, Ijaz, Viv, and Kuiper. Who's your 5? Would it be Ricardo, Paul?
Kuiper/Powell is a good thing to have. Kuiper could bowl. Powell was like a massive hitter. So
okay, so
Kuiper could also hit both spin and pace. Yeah, I think let's go Powell. Let's go with the less obvious choice.
Okay, so that is your 5. 6 would be Klusner. 7 would be Kapil. 8 would be the keeper. 8 keeper. Keeper is Moin or what?
Yeah, the 2 of you picked Moin, right? So you got a
Moin.
I picked
maximum picks with Moin. Yeah, 2 people pick Moin.
Moin.
So 9 Akram. And then your 10-11 is what? Everybody picked different.
Well, I mean, basically, but
Sakline is the consensus, right? Between the 2 of us, we picked Sakline. So Sakline
But I thought that everybody wanted a wrist spinner. Like some fashion, there was a wrist spinner in the team. right? Like, and Saklan is not.
Strang was
Best
an
or
option.
mystery spinner, right? Strang. In my case, I picked Michael, but I'm happy with Strang, to be honest. I feel like I missed out on Strang.
Given that we have Wasim, Kapil, and Klusner, I might even go with two spinners and pick Strang and Saklan. Why not?
No, we are picking two spinners. Is it Strang and Saklan, or in my case, I picked Michael and Saklan? So it's a question is which leg spinner, then we'll go to Saklan.
Okay.
I think Saklan is a constant.
Okay, then I think we have done.
That means Ambrose and Wakar miss out.
Yeah. Anyways.
I mean, I'm fine with Wakar missing out, honestly. Like, I've seen him get hit a lot in my life.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's the thing with Wakar. You either get him smashed all over, or you get him.
Yeah, Ambrose would have been a good show. Yeah, but I would rather, like, if I have to go with Ambrose and a wrist spinner or a mystery spinner, and Saklan was a mystery spinner. I mean, the spell that he bowled in Adelaide, even in a test match, he bowled so many dusras. And if he does that in a T20 match, and I'm sure if he was playing T20, he would be bowling a lot more dusras.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll pick those two spinners.
That's our 11.
12th can be Jaunty.
Jaunty. But Jaunty played for... Anyways, Jaunty is... yeah.
12th could be Ambrose. We can swap, right?
Yeah, he's a good hitter is what Sidvi says. I've heard.
He is, man. Trust me, whoever is listening, go watch some Curtly Ambrose.
That would be a great YouTube video.
I'm sure he's hit more batsmen on the face than he's hit sixes. So either way, he's a hitter.
This is our 81 all-out T20 11 Aravinda Ijaz opening. Viv at 3, Kuiper at 4, Powell at 5, Klusner at 6, Kapil at 7, Moin at 8. That is Moin Khan, not Moin Ali. So Wasim Akram 9, Paul Strang 10, Saklan 11. So you have enough pace, enough spin. Yeah, you have enough bowling and enough batting, man.
You have enough hitting, man. What pace spin, man? You have hitting. That's all.
That's the only thing that matters.
Yeah.
I
think that's a good 11. Please put in your 11s and your thoughts and others. I mean, Lloyd could have been an option, I think, actually, compared to Powell. But I think Powell.
But we didn't watch him, right? I mean, that's the only criteria.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's the same reason I didn't include Garner, right? Like, I don't. I mean, like, in theory, Garner is great, but like, I have not. Seen him.
I mean, then you can go to Sobers, right? I mean, like Victor Trumpa, who knows?
DK Naidu.
Yeah, Subhash Gupte for your spinner.
Bradman.
No, he's not making this team. Sorry.
What?
Hit the green grass, really? No.
Hello. Under Tala, Bradman will transform himself into a great T20 batsman. You don't know.
Bradman was a very aggressive test batsman. I mean, let's not put him down. But he believed in hitting the green grass. He didn't believe in hitting in there. But I'm sure
under Tala, of course, under Tala, anything is possible. So anyway, on that note, thank you. Please put in all your thoughts and comments and your picks. We would love to hear. Again, this is a fun exercise. No, we don't mean to put people down or anything. Put cricketers down. I mean, this is what all for a fun ride. 81allout.com is our website. At 81allout is our handle on X. You can contribute an amount of your choice on Coffee. That's ko-fi.com/81allout. We are a crowdfunded platform, so you can either put in a monthly, regular sort of payment, or you can just put a one-off. We are grateful for everything. And I'll also link the 3 books that we have republished via the 81 All Out publishing imprint. War Minus the Shooting, Cricket Beyond the Bazaar, and The Summer Game by Gideon Hay. So thank you so much for listening to 81 All Out, and we'll hopefully be back in about a week or 10 days' time. Thank you, Mahesh. Thank you, Ashoka. Thank you, Deepak. Take care.
India have won the series. They're going to get back for 2. India home. Lords goes wild.